Well, just short of the afternoon, everybody. Thanks very much for coming. Great turnout. It's always encouraging when you hold a press conference and it's packed with press and support for what we're about to start in Scotland. And talking just on Matchroom's behalf, it's an absolute pleasure to be bringing some big shows to Scotland. I think it's long overdue and it's something we're very, very excited about. Just to tell you a little bit about our first show, which is going to be May the 11th at the Emirates Arena. Ricky Burns will be defending his WBO lightweight title against #1 mandatory challenger, the unbeaten Jose Chelo Gonzalez from Puerto Rico. And we're planning a packed and stacked bill full of the very best Scottish talent, a couple of which are here today, John Simpson, Stephen Simmons, a number of other young undefeated fighters, David Brophy, John Slowey, and of course a number of the Matchroom stable, which will also be making a trip up to Scotland. Obviously Ricky's transition to Matchroom has happened quite recently, and I won't lie to you, the last 5 days have been very, very difficult to overcome the problems that were faced in front of us. Just to explain what's happened over that period, last Thursday we were given a letter by the WBO to advise us that due to what they called failed opportunities given to Ricky Burns, he would now have to face his mandatory challenger, the #1 ranked Jose Gonzalez, 22-0, very dangerous Puerto Rican. He was actually someone that we were looking at anyway. We also threw names at the WBO like Vasquez, which we had heard was previously sanctioned, which we actually found out wasn't. And also Richard Abril, and we even spoke to Golden Boy about the possibility of Adrian Broner. So we kept our options open, but towards the end of last week we were advised by the WBO that we would have to take the mandatory challenge, which was Jose Gonzalez. We were then given a 5-day period to negotiate that fight. Otherwise we were told that fight would go to purse bids. Now, I think anyone who knows boxing, anyone that knows the situation right now, you can imagine the obstacles we had to overcome dealing with that mandatory challenger and the possibility of purse bids, and promoters all of a sudden contacting Peter Rivera in Puerto Rico with a sudden interest to host a big show in Puerto Rico with Ricky Burns fighting Jose Gonzalez out there. And it was a hairy time. We had about 2.5 hours to go last night before we finally agreed the deal and signed contracts with Jose Gonzalez and Peter Rivera and Rivera Boxing. So I'm delighted that we've got this fight made. You know, to knock off a mandatory challenger is so important, and the schedule that we're about to undertake moving forward. And that schedule involves May the 11th and then moving straight back out in September for another defence. I know Ricky won't take his eyes off Gonzalez. Like I said, he's 22-0, big puncher, a #1 challenger. You can't do any more. But this is the fight that paves the way for the bigger fights and the unification fights. Abril, Broner, Vasquez, they're the fights that we'll be looking to make in September. But for now, this is business that Ricky has to attend to. And I believe this will be Ricky's toughest test yet, toughest fight. Unknown quantity in that he's unbeaten. There's no blueprint to beat him, and you know, Billy and Ricky will be putting, you know, the strategy together to do just that. I want a few people at the table to say a few words. I just want to say, really, moving forward for this show, we need your support. You know, I won't lie to you, we got big plans for boxing in Scotland, and already the response and the support that we've seen from the fans and the media and the people of Scotland lead me to believe we can do massive things. But without your support, and that's the media and the fans, none of this is possible. So we want to bring something very, very special to Scotland. You should be very, very proud of what you've got in Ricky Burns. He's a world champion, a 2-weight world champion. One of the I would say the #1 sportsman in Scotland. You've got some great Scotsmen here, but I put him up there. You know, 2-weight world champion, WBO lightweight champion, I think an unsung hero of British sport and certainly even Scottish sport, and that's about to change. He's about to get the recognition he deserves. Sky Sports are going to give him that platform to showcase himself, and this is going to be an unbelievable journey of a series of big fights and big nights back in Scotland, and we need everybody's support to deliver that for Ricky. So thank you for attending, and I want to, before we open to the floor, Billy Nelson, a few words about the fight. I know that we've been speaking, you've been bugging me every 10 minutes, who is it, and finally we got it done last night. What do you expect?
We're expecting a very hard fight against Gonzalez. He's the #1 rated contender for Ricky's title, undefeated, 16 knockouts out of 22 fights. But I'm very confident that we'll deal with it. We'll come up with a game plan that's required, and he's got to deal with Ricky Burns rather than we've got to deal with him.
And Ricky, I know that when we first met, you didn't care who you shared a ring with. One of the first things you said to me was that you want to fight Broner ASAP. So I know you won't be afraid of Gonzalez, but I think you know it's a proper fight.
Oh, definitely. Again, his record speaks for itself. I think it's 17 knockouts in the 22 fights, so he is a big puncher. Obviously, I'm just glad to obviously have a face obviously that I can put to with my training, and obviously just looking forward to fighting in Glasgow again.
And I want to also thank Alex Morrison for working hard on this show with us. We've got a lot of work to do over the next 7 or 8 weeks to make this the success that we want it to be. We've set the Emirates Arena up for 10,000, and we're going to do absolutely everything we can to sell it out. We've started the tickets at £40, 40, 60, 100 and 200 for inner ringside, and you know, we're going to be working tirelessly with the team to make sure that we can sell this thing out. So with Stephen's help, we'll be announcing his fight and John Simpson's fight in due course, and also the entire undercard over the next few days. So I'm going to open the floor now for questions, and then we'll break for one-on-ones. Any questions, please?
Ricky, must be a nice feeling that you know things are happening.
I know, obviously, the disappointment for obviously the last 6 months. I just feel as if obviously we've been training non-stop, and obviously we've not been getting the rewards out of it. But I'm just really looking forward, obviously, to getting in the ring. Obviously, I know this is going to be a tough fight. I've had a quick, when his name was mentioned at first, I had a quick look at him on YouTube. You can only see clips there with all people out but so, but you know, that's it, I won't watch it anymore. I'll just be concentrating on what I'm doing. I know myself it's going to be a tough fight. I'm sure the next 6 weeks are going to be torture. I'm sure Billy's already got the sparring partners all worked out who we're going to be bringing up, so whatever happens come fight night, I'm going to be ready.
Ricky, how tough has it been over the last couple of months taking yourself over, given that you've had so many disappointments?
Obviously when the last couple of fights, when they fell through, obviously I've been ready to fight, so I've had to take a break. But you know, I'm a professional. Obviously, when I know that there's fights obviously looming, I always get myself in the gym. I'm always in shape. So obviously we took a couple of weeks off, and I've started back. So we've got 6 weeks and Saturday to go. So I'll be ready to go.
Any questions, guys?
Eddie, given Ricky layoff to 8 months by fight time, would you rather ease him back in with perhaps an easier fight than what is actually set for?
Well, I don't think Ricky wants easy fights, to be honest with you, and you know, that's something we sat down and spoke about. And you know, no disrespect to those guys, Scott Harrison, Gavin Reese, you know, those kind of guys. They're not on the radar right now. And you know, people just assumed that they were the fights that were going to take place. But really, the bottom line came down to we didn't have a choice if we wanted to remain champion of the world. And you know, sometimes you have to weigh up the opportunities, and my job is to look at all kinds of different strategies for Ricky Burns. And I looked at other organisations, I looked at other routes, and you know, we had a number of things up our sleeve. But the bottom line is Ricky is one of only 3 world champions in Britain, and to give that up after everything he's gone through to win those titles would have been very difficult to accept. I think he would have done it. You know, we spoke about it and we prepared him for that, and you know, thanks to Ricky for his support of saying that I'll do whatever I have to do. But bottom line is, I know that, you know, if I was a world champion, which let me tell you is very unlikely, I would do everything I can to try and keep that belt and keep my status as world champion. So really, the key was going to purse bids with the outside forces that were operating in this conundrum would have been a horrific experience, and I think it would have led us to relinquish the title. So, like I said, with 2 hours to go last night, I was, you know, I've texted all these 3 guys here. They were all asleep, can you believe? But I wasn't. Just to let them know we'd finally got it done. And you know, it's not about taking easy fights. Ricky is a 2-weight world champion. I don't think he deserves easy fights. They don't come with the territory of winning world titles and defending them like he has. So But when you're dealing with a fighter who just wants to fight the best and just wants to test himself and put it on the line, it's refreshing, and that's what attracts us to Ricky Burns, because he doesn't want an easy night, he wants to be tested, and after the layoff that he's had, he's ready for a proper fight.
Ricky, given that Ronan is coming up in 2 weeks to fight Northern Ireland in June, if it came to it, would you be willing to go away to fight him?
So there's been a lot of talk recently about obviously me struggling to make lightweight and moving up. For now, I'm definitely staying at lightweight. I'm making the weight comfortable. I feel strong at the weight. But we have spoke about obviously maybe a couple of years time, maybe moving up the weight division. But for now, definitely at lightweight.
We had an approach from Richard Schaefer at Golden Boy last week about the Broner fight. Obviously we're in a situation with the WBO that couldn't be avoided, but I did stress to Schaefer that was a fight that we definitely want. It's a fight that Ricky definitely wants. It's one of the first things he said to me. So in time, and that could be September, I'd like to build something in Scotland where we could argue the toss with him to bring him to Scotland rather than just to go to America to fight him. And I think that if we can build Ricky in the right way, a fight with him and Broner is a massive event in Britain. Right, thanks guys. We want to break for a few photos and then we'll have some one-on-ones. Thanks very much for attending.